After high school, Vera left a small provincial town for Moscow to continue her studies. One day, she went with her friends to a club and there she met Stas, a handsome man from Moscow. His parents were away on a year-long business trip abroad. She fell in love with him out of her mind and soon went to live with him. They lived the high life. Her parents sent her money. Every day they went to a club or had a party at home. At first, Vera liked that kind of life. Before she knew it, she had racked up debts and absences, passed the winter session with 5s. The question of her expulsion came up. Vera promised to study hard and retake her exams. And indeed, she sat down to her books. When Stas had company over, she would lock herself in the bathroom. She did retake the exams, but she decided to convince Stas to settle down. He was in his last year and would soon be graduating. "Come on, Vera. We only live once. Youth is a passing thing. What better time to have fun than when you're 20?" he answered carelessly. She was ashamed to tell her mother that she lived with a guy without a stamp in her passport. When she called home, she lied to her that she got married. They signed, and the wedding will be played when Stas' parents come back from a business trip. One day, Vera felt bad in class. She felt dizzy and nauseous. She couldn't remember her calendar and realized with horror that she was probably pregnant. A pregnancy test confirmed her hunch. The due date was small, and Stas began to talk her into getting an abortion. For the first time, they had a big fight and Stas left home for 2 days without showing up. Vera could not find herself, waited and cried. Finally, Stas came back, but not alone. A tipsy blonde who could hardly stand on her feet was hovering over him. Vera was exhausted by the unknown and the waiting. She couldn't help it and yelled at Stas and began to kick his companion out. "She won't leave, and if you do not like it, get out on your own, you hysterical girl," he shouted and slapped Vera across the face. She grabbed her coat and ran out of the house. She walked to the dormitory. With a swollen cheekbone, with mascara smeared on her cheeks, in tears, Vera knocked on the door. The janitor took pity and let her in. The next day, Stas came in, begged her forgiveness, promised he would never lay a hand on her again, begged her to come back. Vera believed him. For the sake of the baby, she barely made it through her first year. She was afraid to go home. What would her mother say? But it was also scary to stay in Moscow. Stas's parents were due to arrive soon, and she had a belly and looked terrible. Soon my parents actually arrived from a business trip. After learning that Vera was from the province, that she had just entered her second year, her father began an unpleasant conversation. He offered Vera money to go away and leave their son alone. What kind of a father is he? All he can think about is partying and clubbing. Or maybe it's not his child at all. "I'm offering you a lot of money. Take it and go to your town, to your parents. Enough for the first time. Believe me, it's better for everyone." Vera was offended to hear that. She was ashamed, ready to vanish into thin air. Stas did not intercede. He listened silently. Vera did not take the money, though she regretted it later. She packed up and left to go to her mother. And as soon as she saw her daughter with a belly on the doorstep, she understood everything. "Why did you come alone?" she asked me cautiously. "I take it that you are not married. You had enough of Muscovite and threw you out. Did he at least give you money?" asked her mother, not allowing her daughter to go further into the hallway. "Mom, how can you? I do not need his money. And why did you come to see me? You and I have barely gotten along before. I thought my daughter got her lucky ticket. She married a Muscovite. She's living in chocolate. But she came back to me with a belly. How can the 4 of us fit in here? And with a little baby too. Why 4? Vera asked in a lowered voice, not understanding anything. "Because while you were in Moscow, I also made a friend." "Why?" "I'm not old yet. I also want a woman's happiness. You raised you alone. I had no time to think about myself. Now I can live for myself. He's younger than me. I don't want him to stare at you. Where am I supposed to go, Mama? I'm going to have a baby soon," Vera whispered, barely holding back tears. "And go back to your husband. Or who is he to you? He made you a child. Let him provide for him. Take care of you." The mother stood adamant. Vera saw no pity or sympathy in her eyes, even before their relations had not been warm. And now it was as if she was talking to a stranger instead of her own mother. Vera took her bag and went away. She went away from the house, sat down on a bench and cried. Where to go? Who needs her if even her own mother does not care about her and her future grandson? Fought even to go out on the road and throw herself under the car. But the baby in her belly stirred restlessly, as if she felt something. Vera did not have the guts to make him die of pain under the wheels. "Vera?" A girl suddenly stopped in front of her. She looked up, but her tears made it impossible to see her face. "It's me, Sonia Smirnova. We went to school together." "And why are you crying?" She sat down next to Vera, and then noticed her belly. "Are you pregnant?" Vera burst into tears and told her former classmate everything. "You know what? Let's go to my place. My parents are at the cottage until the fall. You can stay at my place for a while. You can't spend the night in the street. And then we'll think of something." And Vera agreed. What else could she do? Her legs were tired, and she was very hungry. "Make yourself comfortable. Don't be shy," said Sonia, bringing Vera over to her. Vera gladly sank down on the soft sofa and stretched out her legs. And Sonia ran into the kitchen. "I'll feed you in a minute. I'm working at the hospital during the vacations. I'm studying at the medical school," she shouted from the kitchen. "I heard that you study in Moscow." "I did," said Vera quietly and closed her eyes. 2 days later, Sonia came home from work happy. "We have an old lady lying in our department. She can't walk after a stroke, but her head is bright." So today her daughter came. They called her in because her mother had to be discharged, and the daughter refused to take her in. Can you imagine? She says she lives in another city. Her husband will be against it. With 3 children in 2 rooms. She says I can't take my mother. And she's so fat. All lyrics, it makes my eyes glaze over. Asked us to help her find someone to take care of her mother. I thought of you right away. She's expecting us after 5 o'clock. And you said I was going to have a baby? Vera asked. No, said Sonia, confused. Come on. There's no one else who wants to come anyway. Come on. Don't stick out your belly too much. You'll see, she'll take you. What's wrong with you? How am I going to take care of a sick old lady when I'm pregnant? You have to turn her over, wash her, change her diapers. Vera cried, frightened. I'll teach her, and you don't have to wash her every day. I'll come and help. Vera, it's the best thing for you. You'll have a place to live. And the old lady, she's quiet, she's not mean. And when I have a baby, how will I manage with a small child and her? Vera wouldn't let up. When you give birth, then we will think about it. I'll help you, Sonia said again. Come on, Vera. Vera was scared. But if Sonia could help, she could try. At least there would be a roof over their heads and food. They were met by a fat woman with a disgruntled expression on her face. She looked Vera over from head to toe. Pregnant. Can you manage? She asked. I can do it. I'll help. I'm studying to be a nurse. I can give injections. She hasn't got a place to live. Her husband kicked her out. Sonia answered for Vera. I don't care. She asked for it herself. Just do not hope you do not get an apartment. And I will not pay. I have no extra money. I have 3 children. My eldest daughter is going to university next year. Will you agree to take care of your mother for room and board? Here's the card. Mom's pension is yours. Just make sure she spends it on her mother. I'll check. Don't forget to pay your receipts. Here's my phone number. But don't call me if it's nothing, only if it's serious. She took one last look at her friends and her mother and left. The friends looked at each other and approached the old woman. Anna Ivanovna is her name, said Sonia. Hello, Anna Ivanovna. I'm Vera. I'll live with you. Sonia will come and help too, said Vera. The old woman looked at her belly with teary eyes. Yes, I'm pregnant, but I'll manage, said Vera as confidently as possible. Her mother kicked her out. Can you imagine? Sonia interjected. Vera yanked on her arm. Do you want anything? Some water? Vera asked. The old woman mumbled something. She says she doesn't want it. I have learned to understand. You will soon learn too. Come on, let's see what there is to eat. I'll run to the store, and you get some rest, Sonia said, and took Vera out of the room. So Vera began to live with Anna Ivanovna. She was quiet, she cried often, or her eyes watered. Vera wiped her tears, fed her from the spoon. She told me all about her short and so difficult life. A month later, Vera went into labor. Sonia nursed Anna Ivanovna instead of her, while she was lying in maternity hospital. Vera gave birth to a pretty little girl and named her Alyonka. At first she was afraid that Anna Ivanovna's daughter would come and kick her out, but apparently she had forgotten about her mother. Vera ran like a squirrel on a wheel between her crying daughter and the mooing old woman. One day she left her daughter in the stroller by her bed and ran into the kitchen. Porridge on the stove ran away. When she came back, Anna Ivanovna was humming something, and Alyonka was listening, falling asleep, and so Anna Ivanovna began to help. Alyonka quickly fell asleep to the mooing, and Vera's hands were untied. She had time to do something about the house. The time passed. Alyonka already tried to stand on her feet, but Anna Ivanovna became quite ill. Soon she died. Quietly, in her sleep, Vera called Anna Ivanovna's daughter. She came to bury her mother. She announced right away that Vera had to pack her things. She didn't need her services anymore. She's settled in here, she said, looking at Alyonka. She warned me you wouldn't get an apartment. I'll sell it. Can I stay here before you sell it? I have nowhere to go, asked Vera. What do I care? Going through her mother's things after the funeral, Anna Ivanovna's daughter found in the papers a will, which clearly stated that the heir of the apartment is Vera. Such a shout she raised that she scared Alyonka. I won't leave it like that. I'll sue her. What a swindler. She has nowhere to live. Maybe you sent my mother to the afterlife too. Vera, not understanding anything, called Sonia. She said that shortly before her death, Anna Ivanovna asked to call a notary. She spoke badly, but it was understandable. Alyonka was sick. You didn't pay any attention. I even invited a doctor to see her, to confirm that she was sane. I feel sorry for her. Don't worry. No court will throw the mother and her child out on the street. All the neighbors will confirm that her daughter did not show up here for a year, and you took care of her mother, reassured faithful Sonia. And so it turned out. Vera stayed in Anna Ivanovna's apartment. Over time, Alyonka went to kindergarten, and Vera got a job at the reception desk, also worked part-time nurse. Just Vera got on her feet, breathed out. It seemed that all the troubles were behind her, but suddenly her mother came to her. She sat down on a stool and cried. She told me that she had had a difficult operation. She sold her apartment to pay for it, so she came to Vera to live out her last days. Vera felt sorry for her, a mother after all. One day Vera and her daughter and Sonia went for a walk. The weather was fine, warm. Oh, I forgot my phone. Vera stopped halfway there. It's all right. What do you need it for? Sonia asked. What if Mom gets sick? She won't be able to get through. Stay here with Alyonka. I'll quickly run away. And Vera ran home. She opened the door with her key and heard her mother talking to someone on the phone. Vera took her cell phone from the bedside table and was about to leave when she heard her mother's words. She's gone for a walk. She can't hear. I missed her too. Be patient for a while. I hardly spend any of my money, and I'm saving for my rent. So I'll soon have the money I need. Me? A great actress has died in me. I'm putting band-aids on my stomach. Mother, cried Vera, dumbfounded by what she'd heard. Mother flinched, looked around, took the phone away from her ear. How could you? You lied to me about the operation. And you didn't sell the apartment. You're renting it out, paying off your lover's debts. Have you forgotten how you kicked me out when I was pregnant? You're a monster, Mom. People like you shouldn't give birth to children. You misunderstood. The distraught mother made excuses. I got it right. When I come back from my walk, I don't want you here. Vera flew out of the apartment, slamming the door. Here comes Mom, Sonia said to little Alyonka, but when she saw the tears in her friend's eyes, she shut up. They went in the direction of the park. Vera, why are you silent? What happened? With Mother? Sonia asked worriedly. It couldn't have gone any better with Mommy. Can you imagine? She lied to me. She didn't have any surgery, and she didn't sell the apartment. She's renting it out to save money. She came to live off me to cover her lover's debts. She told you that? Of course she did. I overheard her talking to her lover on the phone, and how she was shrieking. She could hardly move her legs, just like a dying swan. And I kept her safe, didn't let her do anything. And if she told me the truth, I'd have let her live. A mother after all. But now, how am I supposed to treat her after that? Vera burst into tears. Such a mean thing to do to me. What are you going to do now? Maybe I'm wrong, but I can't forget how she kicked me out when I got pregnant. Remember what I went through. I had to take care of a lying old woman with a baby. I had to put up with horrible smells. I was exhausted. If it wasn't for you, I don't know what would have happened to me. God, why? Everybody's moms are moms, but mine are. Unfortunately, you can't choose your parents. It's hard for me to give you advice. My mom died early. That's why I went to medical school. But you know, I would have forgiven her a lot, if only she were alive. Vera walked home in fear. Sonia's words sobered her up. A mother, after all. She shouldn't do that to her. Otherwise, how could Vera be better than her? But her mother was no longer home. She was gone. Vera breathed a sigh of relief. Hate begets hate. If the mother does not love her daughter, what love and help does she want in return? The mother went back to live in her apartment, and her lover left her when she couldn't pay his debts. When her mother became seriously ill a few years later, Vera cared for her until the end of her days. Everything that is laid down in childhood will remain with you forever. I ask only one thing for my daughter, for fate to allow her to be a weak woman who will be able to do everything, but she will never have to take advantage of it. A woman who can afford to just be the wife she loves. And I'm going to be the best mom in the world to make it all come true.